Namaskar, bonjour, hola, ni hao. Hello everyone and welcome to In Conversations with Hingori Sutras.
Whole concept of spirituality is about making us believe in who we already are but can't accept it due to our layers of adulteration and past conditionings.
Grief, working with the way that things are, but the whole emphasis is really on working with our own mind, because as I said, a lot of our suffering is really self-created. It's really a misapprehension of the way that things are.
Met my spiritual mentor, I asked him this question that I thought the way to live life was to experience all emotions 100%. Give all into that experience that you're going through. And his simple answer was, it's the worst possible way to live life.
Woman, it's a coming together of that Shiva and Shakti. Okay, and
right.
It's only for us to understand they have been differentiated. Otherwise, it's all same. If you really go more, then there is no. It's Advaita, no. If you look at it, there's no Dvaita.
Bilkul.
And then there is Vishishta Advaita. वो भी बहुत अलग है, but that's for another session.
The third state is a state of deep sleep, where there is neither the waking state nor the dream state, but the deep sleep where there's nothing. Now here's the beautiful part. In all these three states, what is happening?
Dowry system. The poor girl child is so innocent. Married women are then asked to worship their husbands. What a great concept. If you realize that he is your Shiv, you are equally his Shakti. You are just as divine.
Evolvement of life is beyond this mind or intellect, and is it in the direction of the spirit and the soul and the consciousness.
Gurudev performed all his duties with sincerity and diligence, and it's not a devotee saying it, it's also because his boss endorsed it and we have it on recording with us. But what did Gurudev do? Gurudev was a Mahaguru like none other on this planet.
To reach at the same level where he has reached. Books are okay, but they still can never take the place of a Siddha Guru.
In order to explore something different, you must be willing to let go first. I'm not saying give up your thought. I'm saying explore the alternate and then decide.
I'll tell you how a spiritualist will look at it and try and give this a thought. You know, there is this concept of a shadow, correct?
Right.
Now, all of us understand the concept of a shadow, maybe a shadow watching over us. No matter how much you nourish that shadow, it still remains a shadow. In the life of a spiritualist, as the progress of a spiritual journey moves ahead, there are not one but two shadows.
Which was brought up in one of the In Conversation live sessions only. I would only wake up to say good morning, Maya.
है जज्बाए दिल गर मैं चाहूं हर चीज मुकाबिल आ जाए, मंजिल के लिए दो गाम चलूं और सामने मंजिल आ जाए। इस जज्बाए दिल के बारे में एक मशवरा तुमसे लेता हूं, उस वक्त मुझे क्या लाजिम है जब तुझ पे मेरा दिल आ जाए। है जज्बाए दिल गर मैं चाहूं हर चीज मुकाबिल आ जाए।
धान धर धर किट धिक किट तक किट तक धिक किट धा धर किट तक
Namaskar. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on which part of the world you're connected from. Team Hingori Sutras welcomes you to this session of In Conversation. It's been a beautiful 2 years with you. We, Team Hingori Sutras, are humbled with the love showered on us. Thank you, dear audience, for all the patient listening, for all the messages that we've received, over the questions that you've asked, the interaction that you've done. It has only enriched our lives and encouraged us to be on this season for almost, maybe more than 2 years. We've received many messages to ask us, why are we closing this session? Well, for every new beginning, there needs to be an end of what it is. So while we are closing In Conversation, it is more to encourage you to be in practice. We will be back with a lot more. There's a lot of information, a lot of gyan collected here on our Facebook page, on the YouTube page, on our website. What we would like to do is we would like to consolidate, evaluate, and put it again together so that now, with all this information here, you and us together can walk on that journey through practice. So till then, please do be connected with us through our website. Do write into us. Do let us know what you would like us to share with you in the future, and we would always be connected with you. And now for a session, are you being watched? Yes, all of us have always, wondered or thought of, ये भगवान हमें देख रहा है, कहाँ से देख रहा है, क्यों देख रहा है, कैसे देख रहा है? These are the questions somehow we've never had answers to. So today we have with us Hingori, who is going to tell us as to whether we're being watched, and if we're being watched, how are we being watched? A very warm welcome to you, Ji.
Anjali, this discussion is not going to be a very light-hearted one because the subject is not very light. But this question that you just raised कि भगवान हमें देख रहा है और क्यों देख रहा है, I have an answer. पैसे मिलते हैं उसको. आपको क्या लगता है कि कोई चीज नहीं होती, कोई उसको क्या कहते हैं, कोई कमर्शियल वैल्यूज नहीं होती? और वो जो भगवान आप जिसकी बात कर रहे हैं अंजलि, वो आपके अंदर एक छोटी सी रोशनी का एक तिनका है जिसको ज्योत बोलते. But anyway, just inspired me to say something corny. But your session is, are you being watched? My session is, you are being watched. And I think in that lies the whole answer to it.
Right.
We are not aware of is awareness. We are being watched only to see a pair of eyes looking, or a camera, or a whatever, those things that you put up on the wall. What's it called?
Projector.
Those things, they're all connected to a recorder. There's some kind of a, anyway, whatever. Those cameras that are viewing everything all the time in commercial organizations. So, so the idea that we can be watched from within ourselves is more than just alien. Of course, not to forget that I read a lot of comments Vinay made at Hingori Sutra's blog. And I was wondering whether he's going to give my talk before I do it, because he mentioned all this. And so I was very impressed to see that here is a person who is already aware of himself being watched. And our physical and conscious minds are normally not cognizant of their spirits. Most people have not even shared a thought about their spirit bodies. In fact, several people are not even aware that there is a spirit body within their physical bodies. This is a very strange thing that happened. I was indebted to a man from the, he was my patron at one time, 30 years back or 35 years ago, when I was doing business with his organization, and he was the managing director of that company. So because I was obliged to him, he requested me if I can come and give a talk on Karma Sutra to 23 of his very high-level real estate employees. What was amazing, I don't know whether you're going to believe me, but what was amazing that 17, and I counted, 17 out of 23 people were not sure that there is a spirit within them. This is very interesting. How many of you, and please be honest, I don't know what you want to put up, a heart or a finger or a thumbnail or whatever it is, how many are not sure about the fact that there's a spirit in your body? It would be very, very interesting for this conversation to see those numbers.
The audience, please do interact, and please put up a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
ये तो दो तो आ गए,
2 आ गए,
3 आ गए. अरे वाह. Yeah, I hope they don't think that this is a statutory thing. Hey Bhagwan. I cannot believe. Can you all see the number of fingers going up or thumbs going up? I have counted more than 70 or 60 of you who have said that you're not sure. Well, interesting. It's interesting, but I have a humble request. Please take belief and cognizance of the fact that there is a spirit that enters the body of a fetus when the fetus is about 3 to 4 months old. 3 months in the case of a girl child, and 4 months in the case of a male child. And when this when the spirit enters the fetus in the womb of the mother, that's when real life actually begins. And then the spirit leaves only when you die. Or if you're as lucky as some of us are, then your spirit can also leave a few times during your lifetime as a kind of a out-of-body experience. Yeah. So for our spirit, they're always conscious of us. They have no doubt about our existence. Naturally, they live within us. And our lives is an open book to the spirit. There are no secrets that we can keep from our spirits. Not only that, they're conscious at all times. So some questions I want to throw at all of you, and let's examine them together. How does the spirit of a person record the observations it makes about its outer body or outer self? If somebody wants to make an answer for that, if somebody wants to share their thoughts on that, it'll be nice. Yes, Ambika, we hear you that it exists. Now you answer this one. How does the spirit of a person record the observations it makes about its outer body?
I'd request the editor to type in a couple of answers.
The reason I'm making this session more interactive, Anjali, is because by so many sessions, or after so many sessions that we've had with great speakers like Dr. Sahai, Raji Sharma, and so many great speakers have appeared on Hingori Sutra's talks.
Yes, there's Absolutely. Namrata says that there's a higher self within us. Ambika says it absorbs. Sanjay Saluja says through the ownership we take of our actions. Akash Sharma says the karma shaya.
Akash has learned his lessons well. So when spirit is observing us, and I'll come to what all it's observing later, because otherwise the flow will change. When the spirit is observing us, it is recording its observations, and it records it in the karma and in the long-term memory. Some of them are, of course, recorded in the short-term memory, and they remain sort of suspended here and there. But most of the observations, we're talking about serious observations, these are recorded in the karma shaya. How do these observations get converted into karma? Of course, they first get converted into samskars, and then those samskars come, to physical form along with the spirit body, and then those samskars get converted into karma, and they are called prarabdha karma. So, how do these observations get converted? What is the methodology of this conversion? I mean, my spirit is watching television. Does that become a samskar? Right now, I'm watching supposing I'm watching a television series called Blacklist. So, is this John Spader or whatever his name is this guy going to become a samskar because I enjoyed the serial? Not at all. Not at all. I'm watching the scenery, I'm watching the birds fly, I'm watching the clouds, I'm watching the rain. I'm watching so many things all the time. Do they get converted into sanskars? No, they don't. So then, what gets converted into samskars? Which then later unfold in some life or the other as karmas. How do these observations get converted into samskars? What are those fevicols or binding factors which stick them into that karma shaya? Somebody?
Disha and Priya Mehra say that when you take ownership of your actions.
Truly fabulous. I can say that these 2 years have not been a waste. Absolutely. Ownership, and one more thing, Priya, and that is emotion. So when you look at anything and you observe something with emotion, with guilt, with love, whatever that word means, but with guilt, with passion, or whatever, I mean, any of fear, when you observe things with emotions attached, those also get stored in your karma shaya, and they have to be worked out. Can the spirit observe action, feelings, and thoughts? And how does it deal with mental actions? It's so nice, Anjali, to ask questions rather than to give a talk. You can't imagine the feeling.
Right.
So
a lot of them have put emotions, attachment to the scene, attachments, taking ownership of it, doing desires backed by emotions, getting attached, all types of reactions. Yes.
Mental actions. Does the spirit take your thoughts, like say, what is that word for it? When you think of something in imaginary, you create a movie in your mind or whatever you call it.
The
Fantasize. Yeah, fantasize. Or mental karma, like I'm thinking of somebody in anger, I'm taking a knife and poking it into his right eye or his left eye. I mean, how does the spirit respond to that? Does that take cognizance of that as an action? Yes or no? A very important thing. It's going to screw up all your thoughts in the future. So please think about this answer and just let us hear your answer. The question, how does the spirit deal with mental actions? If the mental actions haven't happened in the physical body, but if they've happened in the mind, will the spirit also be able to store those as sanskars or not?
Vivek and many say yes. Geeta says yes. Kalpana says yes. Yeah, Priya says yes. If, like you said, there is an emotion attached to it. Yes.
Great. We're now going to talk about love and romance. I mean, it's a subject that everybody has gone through at some point of time in their lives. Right, Omiji? So, why is it important for us to impress our spirits? This is an important question. It doesn't sound very impressive. I mean, why is it important to impress our spirit? Why is it not important to impress? Why we should impress everybody? No. That's not the answer. The answer is, I know that it is significant for a person to impress his spirit. The question is why.
Disha says so that we have a good destiny. Then we have Samir says that we all sorry, this is just moving a little too fast. We all are the same. We are, oh God, it's just going up very quickly. We all are same, just in different schools and classes. It is not a race. This is a way of the soul. No one better or worse, ahead or behind. Everyone is on a different road to the same destination. That's for the soul part. If we don't break the Mahalakshmi says, if we don't break the circuit, then it gets stored as samskars, good and bad. Nahi to popcorn ki tarah foot ke karma bahar aayega. Only Ambika says only for our afterlife. Anjali Chadda says we need to love oneself. Amit Dhulake says because the spirit is recording. Priya Meher says we live in a glimmer. Zara says because our spirits decide where we go in the afterlife. And
okay. So I think people have responded to that. Yes. But I'm going to take a lifetime. Your life is as good and as accomplished as your Jivatma so concurs. I'm going to repeat this, and you're not going to be able to understand this easily. But please try. It will change the rest of your life. If you do not manage to, so basically success in the afterlife lies in the self-assessment of a spirit. Are we okay so far? I mean, I think this was not so tough to understand. Our spirits decide how we have achieved ourselves in this life, how we have achieved our one second, some dogs bark. Naresh? So, our spirits decide, and our Jivatma decides what has been the success story of our lives. So, if my spirit is impressed by the things that I have done, said, spoken, seva that I have done, words that I have spoken to people, vagera, vagera, it will psych itself into believing that it deserves a better future in the afterlife. Many of the visions that we get, like Ramakrishna used to see Mahakali, Kali Devi. I have seen some Devi Devtas. My friend Mr. Sharma has seen Shiv himself, or the manifestation of Shiv in Shankara. And all of us have actually seen them in a very believable manner. But the truth is, because we live in a world of Maya and illusion, all these experiences that we go through are also part of Maya and illusion naturally. And so our spirits, if they are psyched into believing that they have led a great life, that they have no guilt, that they have done only the right things to do, they have lived their destiny, then only will they be able to psych themselves into believing that they deserve a fantastic afterlife or a fantastic lok. Now, the fantastic doesn't need to be very, very fantastic, but because most people don't have so much faith in themselves. But at least they will believe that they are not going to the deepest hells or the lowest hells or whatever. And that self-psyching is the secret of life. Am I exaggerating it, of course, to some extent? Otherwise, how do I get my point across? I want you to think about this and remember this and ponder on this for a couple of years. And then tell me if I'm alive, or even if I'm not alive, it'll be much easier for you to talk to me at that time. Tell me what you thought of my discovery. What makes a spirit grateful to its body? And also what disappoints a spirit about the actions and behaviors and attitudes and attributes of its body? I'd like someone to answer that. I'm sounding a little aggressive, Anjali, am I?
No.
Okay.
This is a lot of food for thought.
What
and
is
introspection.
Grateful? Anjali, please ask this question to someone. What is it that they will, as a spirit, what would they feel grateful to their bodies for? What about an Audi car? So let's ask the question, then all of you put your thumbs up and thumbs down.
Right. In fact, if anyone would like to answer this question and come online with us, we could have someone come online with us on Zoom to answer this question. Okay, we have the answers coming in here. If we live, okay, no. Because Disha says guilt makes the spirit sad, I think. Priya says if we live in alignment with the truth, to have been born to live out our karmas is what Anjali Chadda says. Ambika says seva makes the spirit complete.
See, for understanding this, right?
Yeah.
So ask yourself, what is the purpose of the spirits? What are the ambitions of a spirit? How do they differ from the ambitions of its body? Like, Anjali, would you like to buy a Porsche? If you were would your spirit be very impressed with you if you bought a Porsche car or whatever it's called?
No, I don't think so. It doesn't require that. I think it's faster than the Porsche. Hey.
Yes, it is faster than any rocket if it has gati.
Exactly.
So to moving forward, what makes a spirit grateful to its body is if the body is in alignment with the aspirations of the spirit. Disha Gupta, whoever, has said some very interesting things.
Right.
Nair says spirit has no ambition. Well, very evolved spirit must be Ambika's. Mr. Raji Sharma says, what does the spirit or the Sushma Sharir look like? It's a very interesting question. But a man like him would only have very, very intelligent questions. The answer to that, to the best of my knowledge and the best of my experience, is when I look at a spirit, from the eyes of my human body, it looks like it is made of smoke or ether or whatever you want to call it. When spirit's eyes look at another spirit, and I've had both these experiences several times. When a spirit looks at another spirit, it does not see it in the form of smoke. It sees it in the form of a full-bodied person. How do I know this? Simple. I saw my son before he was being born, before I could imagine that he's going. I saw him sitting in my bedroom, and he was this huge guy, big fat face, wearing some very antique-looking clothes of the 18th or 19th century, and he was made of ether. But I could see everything. I could see everything in black and white, kind of a thing. You know what I'm saying? And made out of smoke. I was also attacked after we started the sthan. Gurudev made me start a sthan in a particular city, and when that got started, I was attacked by a jinn. Jinn is like a big boss of many, many ghosts and spirits. Why was this jinn attacking me? He was attacking me because he felt that, this Delhi ke, not Delhi, but Galli ke kutte ki kahani. Don't want anybody to have any significance in any space where they are sort of rulers de facto. And so when I saw that spirit with my eyes of my human body, it looked like made of smoke, but I rolled out of my human body and I stood on the floor like as a spirit body, and I could see that jinn still squeezing my neck of my body, which I could see lying on the bed. But that jinn did not look like made of smoke. It looked like a solid guy. I don't think I saw colors of his clothes, etc., but it was a solid body. And this has been my experience on more than one occasion. I may not be able to recollect all of them at one time, but I have seen this variation, and I found that very interesting. So, here comes another question. Do spirits have gunas? How do their gunas affect the relationship with their bodies? Do the gunas of a spirit affect the way it looks and observes its own body? This is a question about spirits and gunas. So I wanted you to take a shot at it. What do you think? Somebody is still putting thumbs up, Anjali.
Yes. So they believe that the spirit does have gunas.
Okay. Yes, the spirit has gunas. In fact, a lot of what happens in the conscious mind gets filtered through into the subconscious and later on into the unconscious. So let us try to understand this. But before we go there, I want you to know that it is significant that when you work on your gunas in your physical body, remember, these gunas also filter down to your spirit body. And just like you change your attitudes and you improve your attitude, when I went to Gurudev, of course, there is a little paradox, and I might contradict myself. But I do that all the time. So be a little bearing on that. When I went to Gurudev, I had already seen my descent to earth with many of his disciples and him. It was a vision that I'd had. So I already knew that we had come together, many of us had come together, some of you included, to curate a mission. But when first of all, I got born into a Punjabi family. So what do you think that's going to do to my gunas? It's going to hit them for a 6. And that's exactly what happened. So it was wine, women, song. It was, masti, moj, sharab, shuroob, kebab, all that kind of stuff that happened. What do you think was the state of my gunas when I went back? They were a hit set of gunas. And then he worked on me like he worked on most of his disciples and all his disciples, in fact, and he helped to change my gunas. My wife doesn't think so, but I think most of the people do think so. I think so. I think I changed as a human being. I might sound aggressive, loud, but I don't think there's a lack of humility in my heart. There is a lot of lack of humility in my tongue, but then my tongue came with the body, and I didn't go to the mall and choose my tongue. So I didn't have a choice of getting, a sweet tongue. But these gunas that Gurudev helped to alter in me will remain permanent in my spirit body when I die, and I will take those gunas with me. And these gunas are significant because, let me ask you a question. If you were to go, let's say you were qualified to go to heaven, but your gunas were not, matching those of the, heaven is not a great example, but let's say to a higher lok than heaven, say the Mahalok or the Janalok or whatever. So if I were to go, after my death, or if you were to go after your death to one of these higher loks, but your gunas did not match the qualifications there, I don't think you'd get admission, regardless of how much good karma you might have done. Regardless, you'd still be put down to detention for getting your gunas set right before you could then qualify for what you were already qualified. So gunas of the spirit are a significant factor. So if you work on your own gunas, imagine the long-termness of what will happen for you. We were talking about this conscious mind and all that. So let me just put a few thoughts into the fray, and then I'd like to hear you react. The conscious mind is the mundane mind or the go-to mind for most of us. We live and function with the conscious mind at the superficial level of function. It also influences and manipulates its subconscious mind. If it ever communicates with the unconscious, it can only do so through the subconscious as a part of filtration. If you want to filter water, first it will go through the big stones, then it will go through the little, the stone, then it will go through the gravel, the thicker mud, and then it will go through the fine sand. So there's a process. Same is the relationship between a conscious and a subconscious and an unconscious. What is not required as significant data for day-to-day living in the conscious is stored in the subconscious. So the conscious occupies only 10%, approximately, of the mind space and the mind activity. Occupies 50% almost, or thereabouts. And the unconscious occupies the balance, 30-40%. The subconscious is the storehouse, cold storage, where you dig for what you need when you need it. Our attitudes, our behavior, belief systems, all are connected to our subconscious mind. It also contains storage of our emotions and memories. It is the subconscious that functions for dream or get into a trance in a state of meditation. And it is the subconscious which needs to be manipulated for any changes in the gunas of a person. And these changes need to be initiated by the conscious mind and filtered down to the subconscious and thereafter to the unconscious. If this is sounding like an alliteration, let me just summarize the last sentence. See, these changes that we want to create have to happen in an ABC manner. A is first we have to have this affirmation in our conscious mind. You can call it self-counseling, whatever you want to call it. Then it must filter down to the subconscious mind because that will hold that affirmation. And then when it goes into the unconscious mind, it becomes a permanent feature of our infrastructure. It is only when all three segments of our mind record and accept these changes do these changes actually fructify in our being. That is why it is so difficult to change your nature. And the phrase, a leopard can seldom change its spots, applies. Take the concept of karma mukta. I mean, it's a fantastic concept. I don't do anything. I'm not the doer. Everything happens because destiny has programmed it to happen. So why should I be responsible for anything? I'm only an observer. That too, if I want to consider myself an observer, I might risk saying I am the observation, and I'm just part of what is happening. Do you think this is an easy concept to imbibe? I thought about this 30 years back. I realized that I'm not the doer. I understood this concept brilliantly. I mean, I can win a debate with $500 million placed on the other side and win my point of view. But why the hell did it take me 30 years? I mean, this is a 1 minute concept and it took 30 years. Okay, I'm a slow learner, agreed. I'm not as energetic in mind as many others, possibly. But it doesn't happen very quickly because that filtration process, it takes a lot of time. And my humble request to all of you is, I can see many of you are very sincerely working towards your spiritual evolutions. So please give yourselves the time. Please be patient with yourselves. And please don't expect results to happen instantly. After the age of 7, by 6 or 7, I don't know, different scientists and educationists give different figures. It is very difficult for the human mind to register changes easily. And so the only method available is practice, practice, practice. Rehearsal, rehearsal, rehearsal. And the subconscious mind needs to get into the mood of habit forming and rehearsal. What it needs to achieve or what it desires to change needs to be regularly meditated upon. Otherwise, it will remain just a concept. Remember, I want you to imagine what I'm saying. If you take 10 sheets of toilet paper and pile them up together, or 10 sheets of any paper, you get a slim pad. You take 100 pads and you get a book out of it. But you take 100 books and you get a paper mountain. That's how repetition and re-repetition and habitual practices work on the mind. A recitation of a mantra 100 times makes it familiar, but 1,000,000 times makes it siddh and super embossed in your subconscious mind. Mantra theory is familiarity, but mantra siddhi is capability and the ability to use the power of the mantra and to become the power of the mantra. The unconscious is the uncharted mind which science has not discovered much about, and spirituality talks about it as the mind of the infrastructure which stores all our samskars. It is this mind that assists in clairvoyance, intuition. Our destinies are connected to the trends projected by the unconscious. I'm stressing a lot on what I'm saying because if you can imbibe this, if you can just capture these thoughts, maybe you can re-listen to this talk some other time, this will make huge amount of changes and it will ease your spiritual upliftment. The unconscious mind occupies approximately 30 to 40% of our mind space. But it is the blueprint for our existence. the ego of I am versus the I is ensconced in the latency of the unconscious. In the process of changing our attitudes or gunas, we must make these changes in the subconscious, but they get frozen only when they have been bought, accepted, and imbibed in the unconscious. You may redesign the leopard spots into squares and triangles and rectangles or whatever, but the permanency of the graphic can only happen once it is frozen as a change in the unconscious mind. And that is why the significance of the unconscious and the difficulty of reaching there. Self-counseling is not an easy task because of all these reasons. And it needs so much of rehearsal. The conscious mind is dynamic and it is very dominating. In fact, it has the ability to manipulate the unconscious, the subconscious. It has a good relationship with the subconscious because it works constantly. Subconscious, partly here, partly there. You know, that's how the activity of the mind is divided a lot. It is unfortunately not very familiar with the unconscious mind. That is why people have this very usual statement they come up with, that we don't understand ourselves. Attaining more understanding of the unconscious leads to a wider knowledge, and wisdom is the byproduct. Deeper knowledge leads to jnana, and intuition and supernatural powers and capabilities are the byproduct. As 90% of our brain activity takes place at the level of the subconscious and the unconscious, it means most of the decisions we take and almost all the actions and behavior that stems from us happens at levels beyond the conscious mind. Hence our lack of awareness. Hence the depth of delusion of our minds. The subconscious is the inspiration behind the shopping center or shopping chain called, what's it called, Anjali? 24/7 or 7-Eleven? What is it called?
Yeah, 7-Eleven. Yeah.
And everywhere you go, all over the world, you have these little shops which are open all night. No, what are they called?
Yeah, they call the 7-Elevens. Yeah.
It's 7-Eleven. So this was inspired by the subconscious because it is always awake and never shuts down. The major operating systems of the body are connected to the subconscious. It is the bridge between the conscious and the unconscious. And all said and done, it is actually the workhorse of the mind, or the set of minds. So Anjali, today, let's have some fun and play the role of body and spirit. Or let's call this my ghost and I.
Okay.
And by all of us together.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. But before we start, I have a question. Can I add some drama? Maybe overact at times or overreact? But that's how my physical brain works, right?
I charge 100 rupees for each time you do that.
All right.
Okay. So I want you all to consider. So I'm now speaking to you as the ghost, your spirit. So I want to ask you, Anjali, considering I am the long-term partner in our relationship, right or wrong?
Yes.
How much time do you spend thinking about me?
The physical me is so caught up. I'm caught up in my emotions. I'm caught up in the controlled, the senses that have such a control on me. I'm caught up with who did what to me, who said what to me. I'm caught up with my own guilt. I mean, where is the time to think about you? And I went to school, and in school they taught me science. They taught me about air. I believe in air because I was taught that when I was a kid. But I wasn't taught about you. They taught me how to feel air through wind blowing, but nobody taught me how to see you, how to understand you, how to connect with you. I was introduced to God, but God through carved statues, but not you. So now that I have been hearing so much and I have a guru, for a split second, probably just a split second, I do think about you. But most of the time, I am too caught up in my physical existence.
So Anjali, let us hope that you're not the average of the human beings on this show or this program. So let me ask people, how many of you actually ponder and think about your own spirits and the aspirations of your spirits and the nature of your spirits and the future of your spirits? Please put your thumbs up or whatever you want to. The heart would not be a bad one for this. By the way, the spirit is supposed to be the real wife of a human being. Did you know that?
Mm-hmm.
But that's another subject. We can do a talk on that some other time.
There are loads of hearts and thumbs ups here.
Very nice. It is very gratifying to see these kind of answers. Okay. Anjali, just to put some more salt on the wound.
Mm-hmm.
Is it you who acquired me? Is it me who acquired you?
It is you who acquired me.
Yes.
I am transient in my physical form. I'm constantly changing in this birth as well as for the next birth. I'm here only for 80 odd years. So it is you who acquired me.
What did I acquire you for? Buying yourself a Louis Vuitton bag?
No.
Did I acquire you to buy a penthouse with a sea view?
No.
Did I acquire you to fly me in first class in a plane that is probably 100th the speed that I have?
No.
So do think about the fact that I acquired you and you haven't even bothered to ask what I want. Did you ever ponder about the purpose of my role and your role in this life?
Yes. I mean, in a few years, since a few years from now, I have been restless. I've been eager, sometimes submissive to my purpose or figuring out my purpose or the role in life. Yes, after so many years, I know it. Yours is to ignite that light within me, and mine is to use that light and burn my identity. And I think it's only after I've just burnt that physical form and that identity that I would merge with your light.
Let me tell you something, Anjali.
Ji.
Have you figured out why you hardly hear from me in terms of thought processes, in terms of messages through intuition, or why you don't feel my presence?
Yes.
I may not see your handshake in our partnership.
I know you see me, but I don't see you is because of the clutter, because of the noise in the head, because of that overpowering physical mind of mine, which believes this world and that Louis Vuitton bag to be real, and for those first class to be the luxury and the status that I should be achieving. And so being so very absorbed in the touch and the feel just refrains me from being able to connect with you, to feel that subtlety of your existence within me, that quiet that is required, the silence that is required, is not being able to be mine.
So are you making this a justification, Anjali?
No, I am making, I am showing you what, or I am just showing everybody as to what that entire war within us in our physical existence, I mean, what the war is like, because I'm here to shed my samskars, to get lighter, to grow my aura, to get gati, and be one in your state. But what do we do? What am I doing? What am I doing? Most of the 24 hours in a day, I'm spending it on doing mundane things instead of connecting within.
All right, Anjali. These questions are only meant to motivate all of you to think differently. So now that you know, I'm always watching you and I'm always conscious of every thought you receive. Does it embarrass you to know that?
Well, I don't think it embarrasses me anymore. Now that I've been made conscious about it, now that I've started to breathe my life, breathe in the thought that I'm being watched, or breathe in the concepts that have been taught to me. Breathe in seva, breathe in the mantra vidya, breathe in helping people, doing good, disconnecting, stop getting affected by what is around, what is happening around me, stop letting the emotions control me, bringing in that equilibrium within me. It doesn't embarrass me anymore. What it actually does is it stops the emotions to take over me. Why? Because at every given time that I'm conscious and about you looking at me, or when you're looking at me, or it makes me cut that emotion right in the middle of an act. So what I'm trying to say is that it doesn't allow me, the fact that I am being watched all the time doesn't allow me to take a particular guilt or take a particular emotion, take anger, take any frustration, or even take ownership of the good that I do. It doesn't allow me to take ownership of anything, because I know you're watching me. I know I don't want to look like a villain. Yeah. So I would sort of watch and correct my own act.
I think what you and I need to jointly understand, when I say you and I means all of us together, is that our attitudes and reactions are always being registered. And for us to lighten the weight of our unconscious, we will have to wait for the play of our destinies to unregister these registrations. What does that mean? It sounded very. What does it mean?
What it really means is that we need to expend our samskars. We need to go through what we are going through by observing, being an observer, taking the emotions out, standing out of what our destiny is making us do. Go play the role that we've been given to play in this movie of life, in this life, at this moment, and be the audience of the movie. Lighten ourselves, lighten our samskars, collect more aura, and be ready to sit in the Concorde to move ahead to higher realm.
Just can I sidestep a few feet across on a service road and get off this main?
Right.
When I said that we will have to wait for the play of our destinies to unregister these registrations, it had a very deep meaning to it. The way these get unregistered is by suffering, which unregisters the negativity that I have stored in my whatever it's called karna sharir or karmashay, whatever.
Right.
So that's the negative. Will wipe away the negative, and all my luxury will wipe away some of the positives that I have done. And that is what I meant when I said that we will have to wait for the play of our destinies to unregister these registrations. And now we can carry on all night. But I think we've come to conclude by my one request. Can we all sign a pact so that our joint venture of this life becomes more productive and worthy of the existence of our physical incarnations? Can we all agree to sign this pact and say that, yes, we will always be conscious about the fact that we are watching ourselves, and we will try to live up to the expectations that we have of ourselves. And we will try to ensure that our spirits are gratified and they feel that their choice of us as their bodies was a good choice. You think we can sign an agreement to this? How many of you would be willing to do that? That's a lot.
I think almost all of them. Everybody is willing to sign that pact.
So with that, I think my spirit and I both conclude what we had to say on this subject.
Yes. And with that, I think we just have, we have everybody saying in and putting in the thumbs up, saying in yes, we've already signed the pact.
Yeah, there's also some money. Where should I send the bills?
So with that, dear audience, I think there are a few questions and answers here. So would we like to take a few questions?
Questions today and stop at that?
I think so too. In fact, that's what I wanted to put in. Dear audience, if you have questions, please do write to us. Please do write to us at answers@hingorisutras.in, and we would respond to all your questions. So I think that might be good. And if you have questions on today's topic or any other videos of us, please do go back to our Facebook page and our YouTube page, our website www.hingorisutras.in, and please do revisit the blogs that we have there, the videos that have been put up for you, and we will be in touch and we will be back again. Till then, wish you luck. Good night. Shivratri. Sayonara.